All right, our last fight that I think would be outstanding to see once boxing returns is, and this one's another one that is totally makeable. Totally makeable. And actually, as a matter of fact, I believe it's been, discussed. Is Oscar Valdez against Miguel Berchelt. I know that there has been a bit of, it seems like there was some talk around it actually happening once, boxing returns, but there's a little bit of some difficulty there. You may be able to speak a little bit closer to what might be happening there.
Sure. So that fight was going to happen. I was at Oscar Valdez's last fight. It was during Thanksgiving week in Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan. And he fought Adam Lopez.
Yes.
Because Gutierrez came in about 60 pounds overweight.
Yeah. He came in, he had Jarrell Big Baby Miller's diet.
Worse. I think this was the worst weight miss ever.
You know what? Oh my God. I wish I'd known you were going to say that, because we would have had to pull up Bob Arum's diatribe.
Well, I was there. He said, get him out of the hotel. He kicked him out of the hotel.
Yes.
I was there. He kicked him out of the hotel. Yes. So to that point, what I'm saying is that Valdez then fought Adam Lopez.
Yes,
who gave him a good fight.
Adam Lopez made a really good representation of himself.
Yes, very good fight. And Top Rank promised him, aside from giving him a nice big bump in his pay, promised him win or lose, they wouldn't release him.
Yeah.
So anyway, the idea was that Berchelt was then going to fight Valdez. That fight was all but made. Yeah,
because Berchelt was there as well.
He was.
Yeah.
And that fight was up next. But here's I don't even remember the last time Berchelt fought. I mean, and I've been at all of his fights, but I just don't remember. I mean, it's been a while.
The last Berchelt fight was, I think it was like through 2 or 3 months before that fight. So he's now, I think, been sitting for a minute. That fight, his last fight was against Jason Sosa in November.
Right. So, okay. So they fought around the same time. So I take that back. Okay. So they fought around the same time. But what I'm saying is, was that November 9th in California?
It was in... it was not. Let me see. I'll tell you. It was November 2nd. Yeah, it was in California. It was in Carson.
Right. So what I'm saying is that Valdez and might, at this point, depending on how quickly boxing comes back, might jump right back into that. But they also might want to take a fight to stay busy before that, especially if they're given an option to wait until crowds come back or to fight a tune-up in front of no audience, and then that opens up a lot of I mean, look, Berchelt really doesn't want to be defending his title in front of no crowd, especially at 130 pounds. I just think it's a tough. I mean, it's a lose-lose for Top Rank, meaning they just have to depend 100% on television money, on rights fees, and they lose out. That's the type of fight you want fans at. That's the type of fight that you want these Mexican fans to come out and support. I just think that it's one of those fights that needs to be in front of a live audience.
So that's interesting though, because I've heard Bob reference, feeling as though a fight between Crawford and Porter is like the kind of fight that absolutely positively has to take place in front of a live crowd, right? So we know that Crawford Porter is a tier above Berchelt Valdez. We know that, right? It's from every standpoint, for the most part, right? So if Crawford Porter, if a fight on that tier has to take place in front of a live audience, if you go down a peg, which is what Valdez Berchelt is, and then you suggest that one also has to take place in front of a live audience, what level of fight is suitable for not having a live audience? Because now I'm wondering what is the real quality of fights that I mean, and I'm not 100% sure that I agree with that. I kind of feel like Valdez Berchelt is the kind of fight that would be good to go in a studio audience, because it is a legitimate, awesome unification style world championship fight, but it isn't a major name that is commanding pay-per-view. and is killing it with a live gate. So I feel like that is the kind of fight that would work, but it seems like you're going from other direction.
Look, it's just my opinion because I've been to two of Berchelt's most recent fights, and one, I guess, is it Mickey Roman? Right?
Mickey Roman, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I was at that fight. I guess
that was the one before Sosa.
Right. And and that crowd was electric and it was packed. And that one might have been the one in El Paso. That was in El Paso. So we were in El Paso. That fight,
actually, Francisco Vargas rematch was right before Sosa, and then Miguel Roman was the fight right before that.
In El Paso, right?
It was in El Paso. That was November of 2018.
Right, because Berchelt is from, I guess, Juarez, which is, right there just across the way from El Paso. And so I think that the fans came in. There's just something about having a fight in that electric atmosphere where you're going to sell tickets and you can take advantage of that live gate to offset costs of putting on a show. But I do understand what you're saying. If there was a world title fight that maybe you can get away with without an audience, this maybe could be considered one of them, depending on what you have to pay the fighters. And I think you'd be giving the viewing audience a treat as well, because they'd be getting a world title fight. They'd be getting a really good fight, a very compelling matchup, and they wouldn't have to wait for arenas to open back up again, that are allowing fans.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see, but it's an interesting concept either way.